see Jambo. Thank you, John. All right. I got what I'm finna say because we're talking about Frank Wills, but we're going to talk about his story later. This is Satora's Black History Corner Internet program. I am your host, Catherine Hunter Williams, and along with me is my co-host, Miss
Catherine Blake. Hello, everybody.
B. Catherine Blake. We welcome you all back to Satora's Black History Corner. Today we're going to tell our story about Frank Wills, who was a security guard, and Delilah L. Beasley and Catherine Hines.
Darlen Clark
Hine. But right now we want to take a moment to speak about Julian Bond, who passed away last week.
Yes.
I think he passed away Thursday.
It was recent, yes.
Wednesday or Thursday. September 2000. Okay. No, I'm on the wrong person. I'm sorry. I'm on somebody else. He died August 15th.
Okay.
Okay. All right. While we're thinking about Julian Bond, also known as Horace Julian Bond.
Horace, I did not know that.
Right. You didn't know. We never knew he had that name. You know, unless you was in this inner crowd, along with the civil rights movement. He was born January 14, 1940. He was born in Nashville, Tennessee. Now let me get to who he was. He was actually a civil rights activist, a Georgia state congressman, and later a senator. He was the co-founder of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and a longtime president of the NAACP. And just right now, we just want to take a moment and think think about him, look at him, and whatever, miss him.
Amen.
Amen. Because he just died last week, August 15th, 2015, in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And it says the cause of his death was illness. They don't say what it was about or anything. And just take a moment and remember Horace Julian Bond. And if you want more information about him, you can go on Google and just type in his name and you can get all his information. Oh, it says Bond died from complication of vascular disease. That's the vessels, isn't it? Yeah. He was 75. He was survived by his wife, his 5 children, and then they named him, and he had 8. Sister Jane Bondmore, and 8 grandchildren. One more thing I want to say about him. Bond hosted Saturday Night Live on April 9, 1977, becoming the first black political figure to host a television show.
Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
He did?
They didn't know that. In 1978, Bond played himself in the miniseries King. He also had a small appearance on the movie Ray, and in 2012, Bond was centrally featured in Julian Bond Reflections from the Frontline of the Civil Rights Movement. It's a 32-minute documentary film by Eduardo Mate Bradley. All right. That's a little bit of our story about Julian Bond, and as I said, you can also go to Google and type in his name and learn some more about our story about him.
All right.
Now, moving on. Doing good time. I want to tell our story about Mr. Frank Wills. A lot of people don't know who Mr. Wills is. Mr. Wills was the actual security guard who busted the Watergate.
Wow.
Well, we call it busted. He did. He took. I'm getting my words together. He was the person who blew the whistle. There you go. On the Watergate scandal, which caused at that time President Richard Nixon to resign.
Wow.
And it was so funny today. I was telling Miss B here about him.
I
and
knew
she
nothing
said,
about
is
him.
he black? And I said, yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about him.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he's a black.
I did not know.
And I hope y'all can see his picture. You can see he's a handsome man. He was a handsome man, let's put it that way. He was born February 4th, 1948, and he was the security guard who alerted the police to a possible break-in at the Watergate complex in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Yeah, his actions eventually led to the discovery of the truth about the Watergate scandal. And I know a lot of y'all don't know nothing about this. This is old school stuff. But that's what we do. We tell our story. So to bring you up so you will know about who you are, where you came from, and the great things that our people have done in this country.
Wow.
So, just bring the old school people. They know, some of them. Yes. Some of them don't know. They know about the scandal, but they might not know that it was a black man that did that. And then I'm going to tell you something about how they boycotted him. Is that what I call it, boycott?
I call it, well, you shouldn't say blackball, should you?
Yeah, blackballed him. Thank you. Not boycotted him, but blackballed. Okay, and y'all understand what I'm talking about as I tell our story about him. His actions eventually led to the discovery of the truth about the Watergate scandal and led to the resignation of a president of this United States.
Yes.
Nixon, Richard Nixon, in 1974. He was born in Savannah, Georgia. His parents separated when he was a child, and he was primarily raised by his mother. Okay, let me go over here to this part. Frank Wills blew the whistle on Watergate. Ex-CIA agent James McCord didn't think he would be stopped from installing wiretaps at the Democratic National Committee headquarters, which is the Watergate complex. That's where that was located, in the Watergate complex. By an $80 per week security guard. He was only making $80. That's Frank Wills. Neither did fellow Watergate burglar Bernard Barker, a former member of the CIA-backed Cuban dictator Fulgencio Bastia. I'm hoping I pronounced it right. Secret police. On June 17, 1972, Frank Wills, an African-American worker, was making his rounds on the graveyard shift at Watergate. He was on third shift. Building when he sounded the alarm about the break-in. He said, I put my life on the line. I went out of my way. He told Boston Globe reporter on the 21st anniversary of Watergate. If it wasn't for me, Woodward and Bernstein would not have known anything about Watergate.
Wow.
Journalists Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein got $5 million from the University of Texas in 2003 for the Watergate notebooks and files. Frank Wills didn't even get a pension.
Wow.
He died penniless in Augusta, Georgia on September 27, 2000, hospital of a brain tumor. Wills couldn't afford to bury his mother. He lived in a house without lights because he wasn't able to pay the electric bill.
Wow.
Blackballed. He could not get a job nowhere. He's a security guard. He couldn't get a job nowhere. So he ended up going back to Alabama to take care of his mother. But it wasn't even better there. I just said that. Frank Wills moved back to his home state of Georgia after his mother suffered a stroke. They lived together on her $450 monthly Social Security check. Richard Nixon's face is on a postage stamp. He and his fellow war criminal, Henry Kissinger. I don't know if y'all know about Kissinger. John, you might give us a little history about Henry Kissinger.
Actually, I know very little about the guy, except for he was the Secretary of State, I think, during Nixon's era, and he's kind of a murky character.
Wasn't he from England or something?
He's actually from Germany originally.
Germany, okay.
Yeah, I think Germany originally, but he's kind of, in my opinion, he's a dirtbag. He's like a power hungry. He loves power. He is amoral, And
he gave a lot of advice to
the Nixon to a lot of other actually a lot of other administrations too.
Yeah, he was around a while.
He was a dirtbag. He's a dirtbag.
Okay. Well, anyway, Richard Nixon face is on the postage stamp. He and his fellow war criminal Henry Kissinger made millions of dollars off their memoir. President Nixon's partners in crime, Vice President Spiro Agnew, got 3 years probation for evading taxes on bribe filched from highway contractors. Well, we had some crooks, and we still got some crooks in the White House.
Yeah.
Frank Wills was sentenced to a year in jail in 1983 for allegedly trying to shoplift a $12 pair of sneakers. A victim of racial profiling, Wills wasn't arrested while leaving the store. He was nabbed just for putting the shoes in his bag. He wanted to surprise a friend with his gift at the checkout counter. Frank Wills epitomizes the plight of hundreds of thousands of low-paid security guards today, many of whom are American Africans. Increased employment in this field has gone hand in hand with the growing army of janitors. Growth of both jobs is a result of the office building construction boom. Service employees, Locals 1877, is trying to organize guards in Los Angeles. Union supporters staged a sit-in at Wells Fargo Tower there last September. Several months later, with the support of Dr. King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Union marched through downtown Los Angeles. The important struggle came out of the nation's Justice for Janitors campaign. At one of the early actions by this campaign on June 15, 1990, Los Angeles cops viciously attacked service employees, members demanding a union contract. They really deaf on contracts, ain't they?
Yes, they are.
At Century City office complex. At least 148 workers, were injured, including a pregnant woman who miscarried.
Oh my.
All right. Now Frank Wills, I'm going to give you a quote that he had spoken. I had talked about his mother, and he was so destitute that he had to donate her body to medical research because he had no money with which to bury her. Only when significant anniversaries of the Watergate break-in occurred did the waning spotlight reach out toward him again. In 1992, on the 12th anniversary of the burglary of the DNC headquarters, reporters asked if he were given a chance to do it all over again, would he? Wills replied with annoyance, "That's like asking me if I'd rather be white than black." It was just a part of destiny. That same year, Wills told a Boston Globe reporter, "I put my life on the line. I went out of my way. If it wasn't for me, Woodward and Bernstein would not have known anything about Watergate." One day, Wills was quoted as saying, "Everybody tells me I'm some kind of hero, but I certainly don't have any hard evidence I did what I was hired to do. But still I feel a lot of folks don't want to give me credit. That is a chance to move upward in my job." He was blackballed. Also, he played himself in the movie All the President's Men. So if y'all ever can just go in, places that have those old videos like that and can get them, get it. And see All the President's Men. That was a movie I seen back then. Very interesting. Because they were his men. All of them got their own men, if you think about it.
Right.
But you just go watch that movie, All the President's Men, if you can get it. And just see how our presidents today, all of them, have their men. Frank Wills was honored by the NAACP. The civil rights organization presented him with a truck.
A truck?
A truck. All right. The Democratic National Committee gave Wills an award, and the chairman said he had played a unique role in the history of the nation. All right. That's our story about Frank Wills,
Frank Wills.
who blew the whistle on Watergate. And
Wow.
if y'all want, like I say, more information, Google it. Frank Wills, who blew the whistle on Watergate. All right. That's our story about him. Now let's move forward with Mrs. B's story.
Okay. First, I'm going to tell you something about two women that were historians. One is still alive. And Delilah L. Beasley, she was a historian and a newspaper columnist. Her name is Delilah Leontium Beasley. She was born September the 9th, 1871, and she joined her ancestors August the 18th, 1934. She was an American historian, a newspaper columnist for the Oakland Tribune, Oakland, California. And she became the first African American or American African woman to be published regularly in a major metropolitan newspaper. As a writer, Mrs. Beasley has the distinction of being the first person to have presented written proof of the existence of the California black pioneers in her writings of Slavery in California, 1918, and her classic The Negro Trailblazers of California, 1919, a pioneering work in the field of California black history. Delilah Beasley chronicled African American firsts and notable achievements in the early California in her book, The Negro Trailblazers of California. This is a compilation of records from the California archives in the Bancroft Library at the University of California in Berkeley. Searching newspapers from 1848 to 1890s, all the black newspapers from the first in 1855 through 1919, she did research. She was a researcher, and
she, what I'm seeing, she had an unprecedented amount of black women's history.
Yes. She was a trail. Her books included diaries, biographical sketches, poetry, commentary, black sacrifices, photographs, old papers, conversations of old pioneers, a comprehensive history of early legislation and court cases. She was very informative on this compilation of records. Led to her successful stories. It gives many hundreds of names of blacks in California from the pioneer period in the late 1900s. A history of Negro people in California would be incomplete without the mention of the mining men who came in 1849. I didn't know that we had black miners. Never heard about them.
So maybe you need to do some research, huh?
Some more research?
Because we are in everything. There's nothing left out. It was a job.
Yep.
You know?
The colored miners rarely took a chance in buying mining rocks, and he had more sacred duties to perform with his money. He either used it to pay for the freedom or liberty of himself, his family, or loved ones on the fairway of the Dixieland. This was an executive committee of the Colored Convention in their struggles to secure legislation enactments in the interest of the Negro race in California. And that was something that they did with their monies. They didn't just get rich, they helped their others. So much of what we know of California black pioneers comes from her books. Okay, that's really something too. And also, she never married. She belonged to many civic groups, organizations including the Delilah L. Beasley Literary and Improvement Club, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Northern California branch founded in 1915, headquarters in Oakland. She was a member of the Alameda County League of Women Voters. Wow. The Public Welfare League of Alameda County, the League of Nations Association of the California Federated Women's Club, which hosted the biennial convention in the Oakland Auditorium, attracting delegates from across the country. And in 1920, the Oakland's Black Club women, including Delilah Beasley and others, organized the Linden Center Young Women's Christian Association, the YWCA, to combat the cold reception extended to them by all the white branches in the city. Something else that she was very instrumental in 1933, it was Beasley's urging that the California State Assemblyman William F. Nolan, then he was the assistant publisher of the Oakland Tribune, and the Assemblyman Frederick M. Roberts of Los Angeles County introduced an anti-lynching bill that passed unanimously in both branches of the California legislature.
And Sarah was the first one. She was the driving force behind it.
Yes, it was. She was. It was the state's first mob violence law. The majority of the lynching in California between 1850 and 1935 were perpetuated against Latinos, Native Americans, and Asian Americans. Okay, and that's, oh, and just to let you know that she trained herself in the research. Nobody taught her. This is something that she trained herself in.
Oh, and then I want to add something that at her memorial service, which was a testament to her lifelong justice, all attending stood and made the following pledge.
Yes.
Every life casts its shadow. My life plus others make power to move the world. I therefore
pledge my life.
Go ahead.
Amen. Go ahead.
To the living work of brotherhood and material understanding between the races. I think that's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
I know I can't stop. I try to stop, but sometimes people will come in and say, "Catherine up," and I'll say, "I'm done with that." No, you ain't. This how John. Thank you, John. That's how this program got started.
Amen.
Because I would tell John, no. He said, he kept asking me, and then finally I just said, okay, and that's how we got this started. So now it's in my heart, and I got a newsletter. I just cannot stop. There's no way. It's not going to happen.
Amen.
So just like that pledge they made, it's an awesome pledge.
Amen.
Yep. And material, I like that part. Pledge my life to the living work of brotherhood and material understanding between the races. All right.
Amen. And now another historian and educator, Miss Darlen Clark Hine. She was born February 7th, and she is still alive. She is an American author and a professor, and she is known for her expertise in the field of African American history. She was born in Morley, Missouri. She's the oldest of 4 daughters of Levester Clark, a truck driver, and Lottie Mae Clark. She married William C. Hine in 1970 and divorced in 1974. Then she married Johnny E. Brown in 81 and divorced him in 86.
Yeah, well, sometimes
be like that.
I said not do it.
And she has 1 daughter. Okay, because of her expertise on the subject of race, class, and gender in the American society, Hines received the Otto Worth Alumni Award for Outstanding Scholarship from Roosevelt University in 1988, and the Special Achievement Award from Kent State University Alumni Association 1991. and she was awarded an honorary doctorate from the University of Massachusetts in 1998, and also from Amherst from Purdue University in 2002. She was a historian that sought not only to explore African American history, but to expand the discipline of history itself by focusing on none other than black women.
Oh yeah.
Who remained at the very bottom of the ladder in the United States.
Are we still at the bottom?
Yes.
Think so?
That's why we're doing what we're doing, to bring it up. A leading expert on the subject of race, class, and gender in American history, Hine is credited with helping to establish a doctoral field in comparative black history at Michigan State University. While attending Chicago Roosevelt University in the 60s, Hine said it was hearing black activists refer so often to history, seeing the black culture celebrated by artists, and reading new works by black writers that inspired her with the hope that someday she could change the very definition of history. Historians can write a history of anything or anyone, Hine is quoted as saying, but apparently few considered black women worth the telling.
Yeah, that's true.
Hine herself had to be...
Just from my experience
Yeah.
of how that, people, they just don't believe you when you're telling them something. I talk to a lot of youth more so than I talk to adults. But the youth, is because I'm a woman, and now if they was hearing it from, say, Dr. Moss or from Elliot, Priest Elliot.
More believable.
Yeah, that's because they are mad, they would listen to them. But I'm telling them same thing, maybe in a different way, but the same thing about themselves. And they be condescending. I can't stand them sometimes.
Yeah, I know.
Because the way they are, the way they treat you as a woman, and when I'm trying to educate them about themselves, but then they'll tell me, send me a newsletter. Okay, Catherine, send me a newsletter. Okay. They don't even say Miss Catherine, they just Catherine. They just do not have respect for their elders anymore. They're very condescending. I can't stand them. I'm sorry, y'all. But I can't stand them youth that just diss us. And I know a lot of it is because I'm a woman. And I can tell you some more history about that because I'm a woman, of things that happened. Where if I had been a man, I would have been more successful.
Oh yeah. That's a shame to say, but
it's the truth.
It's true.
Okay, we're gonna have to kind of wrap it up.
Okay, Hine herself had to be.
Late, didn't we? I'm sorry.
Just a couple minutes.
I don't think we started about 20 minutes too.
No, we didn't. No, it wasn't that late. Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hine herself had to be persuaded to explore the lives of African American women in Indiana, but soon became convinced that U.S. history was leaving out far too much that was important to nurture a comprehensive understanding of American history. Thus, her preliminary research on women's roles in churches and other settings led to the brief monograph, When the Truth is Told, Black Women's Community and Culture in Indiana, 1875 and 1950. That's the name of the book.
What is it?
When the Truth is Told, Black Women, Community and Culture in Indiana.
She has a lot of publications. Though.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
If I can, for right quick, just name a few of them all.
Oh yeah.
The African American Odyssey, Black Victory, the Rise and Fall of the White Primary in Texas, Black Women and White, Racial Conflict and Cooperation in the Nursing Profession, that's Black Women and White, 1890 to 1950.
Beyond Bondage, Free Women of Color in America.
More Than Chattel, because back in the day, slaves were considered as chattel. Black Women and Slavery in the Americas. A Question of Manhood, a reader in the U.S. Black men's history and masculinity.
I want to get that one, definitely.
A shiny thread of hope. The history, well, you already spoke about that one. Sorry.
But when you look up her name, you'll see a lot of her
works, her
working.
publications. And the publications does not necessarily mean it's a book. It could be a writing about something, you know, an essay or whatever. But I think the way she got these, they're all books.
To end this, she said, if I can impress upon the historical profession how important it is to talk to and illuminate the lives of people who did not leave written records, but who also influenced generations of women all over the globe.
Unsung heroes.
Then I feel that my career is worthwhile.
Yes.
That is Darlen Clark Hine.
All right. That is awesome. I mean, those are some great testimonies from both of these women.
Absolutely.
And also to say what she was just saying about what she speaking and telling. I get comments on the newsletter that I publish. That I speak about people. I have people in there that they don't know about.
Right.
You know.
And that's what I try to do too.
Unsung heroes.
Yeah, bring someone to you that you don't know
about.
And you brought somebody I didn't know. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our story of Julian Bond. Remember him. I think they probably be having his funeral or something.
It'll be a big one too.
Yeah. He's been around a while. He's done a lot of things. Frank Wills, the security guard who blew the whistle on Watergate. Delilah L. Beasley, who was the first American African woman to be regularly published in a major metropolitan newspaper, and the first author to present the history of American Africans in California.
Amen. Amen.
And Darlen Clark Hine, who has several publications.
Amen.
And you can get any of these. They all sound so interesting.
Yes.
She is a historian of American African history. Awesome woman. So that's it. That's our story today.
That's our story.
On our next program, I'm sorry. I don't have my script, and so when I don't have my script, I mess up. So let me go down and move here. Satora's Black History Corner internet program comes to you via satellite at allpointstv.com. You can watch our program every second and fourth Monday of the month starting at 3:30. Also be sure to watch what's going on with political pundit Dr. George Moss every Monday at 2 p.m. As always, I like to say asante and a Swahili word for thanks to all of you who have watched our program today. And if you like what you have seen and heard, pass it on. You tell 10 people and they tell 10 people. And we'll have more people watching our program.
Amen.
Until next time, my great, extraordinary, and strong people, keep on keeping on with us. Hotep, which means peace.